Hello, welcome back here into Caden's Weather Center. Today we're continuing to pay attention here to Tropical Storm Melissa in the Caribbean, expected to become a major hurricane here as we head into the weekend. We're going to be continuing to pay attention to that system very, very closely as it is continuing to move very slowly across the Caribbean, posing a massive landslide threat as well as a flooding threat here for parts of Haiti and Jamaica, and even now posing more of a threat for eastern part of Cuba. We're going to dig deeper in the models and we're going to go through where each model is saying it could go and who could get the worst of impacts, as well as talking about the slight severe weather risk that is continuing on here in Texas today that will head into the overnight hours. So that will be all covered in this video. We'll go over the models as well with that. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you do have any questions about any weather in your area, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer you guys at the best I possibly can. So hello, welcome back here into Caden's Weather Center. Today is October 23rd, 2025. Let's take a look at what we're currently looking at here around the United States. Well, we can clearly see not too much going on. Obviously, we see, especially down in the south, very, very quiet. Right now, what are we currently looking at here on the radar? What kind of catches our eye a little bit? Well, we're seeing some rainfall continuing on in parts of Utah as well as in New Mexico, which we do actually have a flash flood warning right now as of the recording of this video in southern Utah. As we've been seeing these slow-moving showers kind of just hanging out, that's causing these rainfall totals to kind of ramp up the more that the rain kind of just sits there. Eventually, we'll be seeing some rain heading into Washington as well. We'll dig deeper into that as we do have a low pressure that's coming off from the northwest here of the Pacific. We're going to continue to pay attention to that very, very closely, as well as some scattered showers continuing on over here in the northeast, stretching, from Michigan all the way over here into parts of New York and even into Quebec, Canada. So we're going to continue to pay attention to that very, very closely there. Let's take a look at the satellite picture. What are we currently looking at? Well, obviously, there's our big system that we're seeing coming in from the northwest there. That's going to be coming in from the Pacific. That will eventually make its way here into the United States, and we'll be dumping some pretty big amounts of rainfall here and possibly even some snow on those higher elevations there in Washington and Oregon, as well as seeing that low pressure system kind of just sitting right over here. We're seeing a lot of that moisture kind of moving up here through the New Mexico area, going to be heading into northern Texas and Oklahoma as well. So that's going to continue on for the next few hours. Other than that, the rest here of the eastern part here in the central part of the United States looking very quiet at this time. So that's some good news right there, as we do have a little bit of dry air that is continuing on in that general area, keeping the temperatures not too humid or anything like that. But obviously, we're going to be having high pressure that is going to be building in here pretty soon. Taking a look at the severe weather risk for today, slight risk will be continuing on here in parts of northern central Texas. We're going to continue to see that. That's going to be for Lubbock, Texas, Wichita, Texas. We're going to be continuing to pay attention also parts of southwestern Oklahoma. But I mean, even in the marginal risk, we could be seeing some pretty big thunderstorms here today. Tornado threat will be in that slight risk zone right there. That's going to head into a little bit more later on this evening, into the evening hours as well, into maybe even the overnight hours. We're going to be seeing that tornado chances start to rise up a little bit. Nothing too major, no major severe weather threat or outbreak or anything like that. Hail is going to be probably our biggest concern, with the 15% in that general area right there. So with some supercells, we could be seeing some pretty big hail. And let's take a look at the storms. What are we looking at here with the future radar? Well, we could clearly see over here the next couple of hours, not seeing too much here, heading into around 16 hours from now. So this is going to be heading into the early tomorrow morning hours. Obviously, seeing some pretty big storms going just south of Oklahoma City there. And then we also do have some pretty big storms kind of forming over here in the western part of Texas. And that will eventually move its way off to the east here. And that's why we're going to have a different severe weather risk here tomorrow. Kind of a little bit more down here into the southwestern part here of Texas, and the marginal risk does stretch into Oklahoma, but mostly is going to be hanging out in Texas here. So tomorrow we'll have that 2% tornado risk, as well as that wind threat and the hail threat continuing on in southwestern Texas. So let's take a look right now here what the GFS model is going to be expecting here. Well, we can clearly see I do want to point out really quickly here before we keep going, watch this general area right here as well as the northwest. We're going to talk about that here in a second. So you can definitely see, if we talk about this right here, October 25th. So we're heading 2 days from now. This is going to be about Saturday. We're going to be seeing a lot of rainfall kind of hanging out here in the central part of the United States, stretching all the way from southern Texas, heading all the way into parts of Missouri, maybe even into parts of Illinois. That will be bringing some heavy amounts of rainfall, maybe even double digits in certain areas. So we're going to continue to keep keep an eye on that. That will eventually move off to the east, but is going to take a little bit there and kind of just hang out for a little bit. And then we'll possibly have a severe weather risk that continues through maybe even Louisiana, heading into Mississippi and Alabama. And then will eventually move its way off to the east. Taking a look at the northwestern part here of the United States, well, heading into tomorrow afternoon, that's when we're going to start seeing that rainfall really start to ramp up, as we're seeing that northwestern system coming in from the Pacific. That's going to be moving off to the east here, dumping some pretty big heavy rainfall in this general area, as well as some snow here on those mountains, that is for sure, and maybe some snow flurries in certain areas here of Montana as well. So we're going to kind of pay attention to that as temperatures will start to continue to kind of go downwards there. Let's take a look at the tropics here. So what are we currently looking at here with Tropical Storm Melissa? Well, Tropical Storm Melissa not looking as impressive as it did yesterday. We've been still steadying at 50 mile an hour for winds, but you definitely can see convection is starting to kind of try to get its act together here, and the more that it goes away and then really bubbles up, that shows that we do have an intensifying system here. But right now we're not seeing too much of a concern with Tropical Storm Melissa. Obviously we know that with Melissa we're seeing a lot of that moisture kind of heading into Haiti and Dominican Republic, bringing some heavy rainfall in those areas, and you can see that here on this water vapor map. Obviously we have a lot of dry air kind of in front of the storm, so right now this isn't really being impacted by any dry air, which will be later on in the future, but not too much that we're going to be expecting. But you can see a lot of those moisture is continuing to move off over here, and even moisture over here more farther north of the storm impacting Bahamas, as we're going to be seeing some of those outer bands here. You can see these little high cloud tops. Those are going to be bringing some scattered showers and thunderstorms into the Bahamas that could lead to some flooding as well. Taking a look here at the National Hurricane Center, well, here's Tropical Storm Melissa here just in the central Caribbean. Eventually is going to get pulled up to the north here. The big question is when we're going to be seeing that. Melissa will possibly really impact Jamaica here, and you kind of can see that. Now, the biggest thing that I want to say is look on how big the cone is right now, obviously, but also look at how slow the system's going to be moving. So that, obviously here's today. We have Thursday, 8 a.m. Thursday. By Monday, it's just going to be south of Jamaica. That's why we're going to be having some severe problems, major problems with rainfall. So right now there is tropical storm warnings going to be out for Jamaica. So if you do live in Jamaica, you need to start preparing for the storm right now here and getting ready to take action. There is hurricane watches still out for parts of southwestern Haiti. You guys probably won't be put under hurricane warnings just in case. The reason why they have those out is just in case if the storm kind of goes on the more eastern side here of the cone. That could bring some hurricane conditions, but we're not expecting that right now. Obviously, our biggest threat will be the rainfall here that we're dealing with. With Tropical Storm Melissa, we can already see 12 inches locally here by the NOAA. We're expecting the possibly eastern Jamaica here, 8 to 12 inches there, and especially with western Haiti we're going to be seeing that as well, with locally higher amounts possible in certain areas. But obviously who's going to be getting that worst of rainfall? I think it's a little too early to be going through with that right now. Obviously we know Jamaica is kind of in the heart of these spaghetti models that we're currently seeing, eventually expected to kind of make its way up here. So the one thing I do want to point out really quickly here is if you do live in Jamaica, you obviously want to pay attention to the storm very closely. So when a hurricane usually tends to start turning, it really, it slows down first before turning, and then we'll get raced off to the northeast, and that's kind of what we're expecting here with Melissa. The biggest thing is as we see it, it's going to kind of hang out, it's kind of getting stuck, and then dips down to the south here of Jamaica, and we'll eventually find that turn up to the north. So it's going to be stalling out for a pretty good amount of time, and that is obviously our big concern with that. Taking a look here at the GFS model, well, we can clearly see GFS kind of more on the eastern side here of that cone, so the GFS has not been doing well on this system here at all, and brings it right into Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and really kind of keeps it a weaker system as it goes over that higher terrain. But the GFS has not been pretty accurate with this storm so far. Taking a look at the European model, a little bit more realistic here, is kind of keeping it more on the track, so expected to kind of hang out, get pulled up to the north, and then you'll see it kind of cut off to the left here and possibly really just impact Jamaica and just hangs out over Jamaica. Look at that. We're seeing this continuing on, so that rainfall in Jamaica could really start around October 25th, so 2 days from now on Saturday we could be seeing this storm here not getting lifted for another 5 days. So that could be a problem here if the Euro is correct. We are going to be seeing some major rainfall totals there, which we'll take a look at here in a second on what those models are saying. Taking a look at the ensembles though, we can obviously see The Euro ensembles keeping it obviously on more on the westward type of track here compared to the GFS. The GFS more on the eastern track here, obviously, but I would say more likely the Euro is going to be obviously the more correct one here, and that's what the National Hurricane Center is following. But still, a pretty good amount of spread here that we're kind of seeing. No impacts here to the United States, which is some good news. But definitely, if you are in Cuba, do not keep your eyes off of this storm at all, because you guys could be expecting some possible big conditions here as well. GFS ensembles, you have them a little bit more spread out here that you kind of can see. Obviously, majority of them kind of take them in between Cuba and Haiti and right through the Dominican Republic, but also you have some operational runs that do bring it over here just as far as east of the Dominican Republic. Taking a look at the rainfall, though, GFS, look at that. You can see as of the latest GFS run, obviously we saw that the system went more off to the northeast, so that's going to bring obviously majority of that rain up to the northeast here, and that is going to really bring astronomical rainfall totals there to the Dominican Republic right there. So that's one scenario, but the GFS has not been completely correct, but that doesn't mean the Dominican Republic could keep their eyes off of the system. Taking a look at the European model, you can see rainfall totals are expected to just really ramp up over here in Jamaica. We are going to be seeing some major rainfall totals here in Jamaica, and even in parts of maybe even southwestern Haiti, as well as Cuba, as the storm will eventually make its way over there. But Jamaica will be getting a lot of rainfall, so let's make sure we're keeping an eye on that very closely there, as well as just talking about those landslides that have the possibility. As you get so much rain running down those mountains, it could be a big issue right there for the people of Jamaica. So if you do live in Jamaica, please make sure you are following the National Hurricane Center, following your local National Weather Service, or following your local weather service on what you guys have there. But please make sure that you are staying weather alert on this tropical system as well. Tropical Storm Melissa is going to be no joke here, as it will be rapidly intensifying here in the Caribbean here, probably in the next coming of days, but really dumping heavy amounts of rainfall. Also, if you do live in Texas, make sure you're paying attention to that severe weather threat today. Can't rule out a tornado or two, and especially the hail threat that we're going to be expecting today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and remember, if you do have any questions, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to answer you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.